what actually happens in the brain when we are anxious, and why is it so much better to focus on the subconscious than on, the brain matters? Well, what happens in the brain is pretty straightforward. Let's say you're walking in the woods and you see something there, maybe in the corner of your eye, hanging down from a branch. Well, in that moment, something kicks in inside of you, and the signal goes right into your midbrain, the limbic system, and especially to your anxiety switch, which is called the amygdala. And the amygdala basically says, okay, I'm triggered, there is a little alert, let's figure out if this thing that's hanging up there from the branch could potentially be something dangerous. So it goes to another part of the midbrain, the hippocampus, looks in all its files for any kind of reference of danger, and it comes back and says, yeah, it could be a snake. In that moment, snake sounds very scary. The amygdala sends to these brain glands, hypothalamus and other glands, pituitary gland, the signal that it's time for fight, flight, or freeze response. So you release all those stress hormones, your body gets basically ready for the self-defense. Blood gets redistributed from your inner organs to the muscles, to the heart, to the lungs, to the brain. You are now prepared. And then, finally, the signal from the eyes goes to the part of the brain that is actually about understanding the images that your eyes are taking in. And that part of the brain says, well, no, false alert, it's just a rope, old rope that's hanging out there. Everything can calm down, you can move on, feels kind of much better now, and you can enjoy that walk. Now, that sounds all great, but the problem is when you are already anxious, or when you have been dealing with your anxiety, and this amygdala part in your brain, this anxiety switch, is very easily triggered, or maybe on a constant on, anything can be interpreted as potential threat. External things, thoughts that are coming up, all those, what we know, anxiety triggers are taken serious, and your whole system gets flooded with these stress hormones, and so you're in this constant undercurrent of anxiety. The problem is, can you really change your amygdala? Can you go into your brain and turn the anxiety switch off? Not really. And so that's why I find what happens in the subconscious really, really important to understand, because that is something we can consciously change. Because what happens in the subconscious is very similar. You see something, but the way you interpret what you see is depending on those subconscious filters. The subconscious mind has a lot of things it does. But one of the things it does, it's filtering all the information, these billions of bits of information per second that are coming towards us. The subconscious filters those out, because otherwise we'd be totally overwhelmed. We couldn't take it all in. Our brain would be fried, because ultimately our brain is wonderful, but it's not necessarily the most high-tech computer. So it would feel this is too much. So the subconscious says, let's put these filters up there depending on what the state of mind is. Now, if you are an anxious person, based on your history, based on past experiences, the subconscious has those filters up. These can be filters of belief systems. For example, you go through the woods and it says, wow, I think I'm not safe here. There is nature. Nature is dangerous. Who knows what's going to happen? So the filter is already looking for potential hanging objects or snakes or tigers or whatever, and is prepared for the fight and flight response. Or those filters can also be emotions. Emotions that already see and perceive your environment according to what the feeling is. We all know this. You can wake up in the morning and you have maybe just a bad hair day. You have no idea why. But do you see the good things in your life when you have those emotions? No, everything just confirms to you the world is a bad place, or people are against you, and even your goldfish doesn't look at you anymore when you feed it. There's just this bias that those filters create. And of course, our thoughts can create filters. When we have negative thoughts, we know that you have already some preconceived notion of someone. Let's say, for example, that they don't like you, and then you are interpreting everything they're doing as a confirmation that they don't like you. They blow their nose, they don't pay attention for a moment when you talk to them, they go for lunch, don't even ask you. For you, that's clear sign. See, I know this person hates me, but it has nothing to do with you. It is absolutely irrelevant, but again, the filter changes your reality. So what I'm trying to say is, when you're anxious and you're seeing the world through the anxiety filters, the goal is to change those filters, because beyond those filters, there is a reality that is very different, often much more empowering, much more supportive, full of possibilities, full of opportunities. But you don't see it because you have those filters. And that's where working with the subconscious is so effective. For me, when I had my filter of, I am not good enough unless I prove myself, unless I succeed, unless I'm perfect, that belief was a huge filter. And when I removed that belief and replaced it with simply accepting myself for who I am, and just starting to believe, or at least intending to believe, that who I am is enough, I saw the world differently. I saw people differently. I stopped having this hierarchical thinking of there's up and down, and I try just to climb a ladder, and saw people much more as all are equal, all are on the same journey. We are just heading towards whatever we have to learn, whatever our path is, and every path is unique. It absolutely set me free. And there was no going into my anxiety switch to turn it off. It was literally just replacing whatever distorted my reality. And that made for me, and that makes for so many of my clients, all the difference. Hi, Dr. Friedemann here. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. If you're interested in learning more about fear and anxiety, here you'll find guided meditations, webinars, and interviews with some of the most renowned experts in the field of empowerment. Delve into the over 230 videos and more to come every week.